This is the Other 22 Hours podcast. Hey, and welcome to this week's episode of the Other 22 Hours podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Shafer-Haiss.
And I'm your other host, Michaela Anne, and we are on episode 124. And this week, we're featuring our conversation with AJR.
Yeah, AJR is a band of brothers, Jack and Ryan, who we speak to here, and then also Adam, who was not in on this conversation, but is, as you can imagine, an integral part of the band. They have been making music together essentially their entire lives. They started busking in New York City, where they were born and raised, in 2005, and then started releasing recorded music in 2012. They have been independent pretty much this entire time, except for a record they put out last year via Republic. And since then, they have gone on. They have multi-platinum singles, billions of streams. The current tour they're on has 40 sold-out shows, including 2 nights at Madison Square Garden and the Hollywood Bowl. They've been nominated for tons of awards, such as like Billboard, American Music, iHeartRadio.
They've hit the top. I mean, it's funny because they even said, we're not as big as Ed Sheeran. I'm like, but you still are like, y'all are up there.
That's a machine. Yeah.
Yeah. And we talk about that, what it's like to have your dreams come true, reach those top destinations like selling out Madison Square Garden, and then honestly feeling like, wait, how come I don't feel like all my problems are solved? Jack and Ryan were both really generous with their honesty. And I mean, if you listen to their music, you obviously know that about them. They talk about focusing on fans on a human-to-human granular level, no matter how big their audience gets. They talk creatively about failing quickly and often and being able to move on from that. And really not being too precious or taking yourself too seriously. That kind of feels like a through line of this, of just really living out loud, being who you are unabashedly, and how that then translates into the creative work that you make.
Yeah, a lot of talk about ego and working past it and not being beholden to it, which if you've heard an episode of this before, I love those kind of conversations. Mm-hmm. As with other episodes, we touch on some things that come as direct suggestions from our Patreons. They get advance notice of our guests, and they get the deep, intense moral satisfaction of financially supporting the production of this show in the only means we make available. So if you would like to go deeper, if you would like to know who our guests are going to be ahead of time, or if you would like to just help us continue to produce this show, there is a link to our Patreon below in our show notes.
And if you're a visual person, this episode and all of our episodes are available on YouTube. And without further ado, here is our conversation with Jack and Ryan of AJR. Nice to meet you guys.
You as well.
We started this podcast to bring to light the conversations that happen when people start talking about what it's really like to maintain a lifelong career based on your art.
How we all stay sane and like keep making music and stay creative when all of a sudden our livelihood is sitting on that. And it's not just like hanging out in a basement making music with friends. Even if it is.
I love that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, and this does feel very aligned with your new music and kind of the emotional transparency, correct me if I'm wrong, that you guys put in your songs and kind of sharing what real life is like, and that it's not just, oh my God, you guys are selling at Madison Square Garden. Life must be nothing but perfect for you, right?
Yeah, definitely not. No, I think, because you mentioned the transparency in music, I think there are some artists where they probably have trouble having a conversation, being fully emotionally vulnerable in real life. And then music is sort of their outlet to be able to say the things that they can't say in real life. I think for us, those two things are very in tandem. I think when you have a conversation with us, even in real life, a lot of our friends are like, whoa, I didn't want to get that deep that quick all the time. And I think it's sort of just a lifestyle to wear your heart on your sleeve. And I think it just carries over into the music. It actually becomes kind of addictive when you start to get more and more honest in your music. And I think that's what we found in our sound, in AJR sound, is little by little with each album, we got more and more embarrassing. And then when we get to play it live and hear all these people sort of agree with, okay, you admitted that you still think about this kid that you idolized in high school and you called him out by name. We have a song called Joe. You admitted that. That's a really embarrassing thing. But we agree we have a Joe as well. Once you get that kind of real-time feedback, you're like, how much more can I wear on my sleeve to see if people have this in common?
I love that. I mean, that's the type of person and also musician that I am as well, in my experience over the years is that sometimes I've gotten feedback from people of like, maybe you shouldn't share so much.
People like on the inside, like people on the industry side or other musicians.
Yeah, or like have some
members.
mystique. Yeah, not from audience members. Audience members often will be like, and I'm a very like small artist, so I'm very like in tiny rooms with the people I'm performing for. So we have like the personal exchange afterwards. But I'm curious if you guys, coming up, because you also started busking, right? You guys are from New York City and got your start from like playing at Central Park and the subways. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Did you ever butt up against that? Of anybody ever telling you like, maybe you should like have more mystique or be cooler in this other way?
It's a great question. And I think the answer is probably no, or if we did, not for very long. I think when you start off like street performing, I mean, compared to right now, I think it's a little bit a thing of the past, I guess, feeling like you want to try to get to the artist and you can't, that kind of thing. So I guess we started when it was that time, but starting out street performing, you're like right there with the people. You're immediately not cool, right? Like you started off being like, I'm down here, there's businessmen on the phone that you have to make like you, so you're already not cool. You're really trying to get to the people more than they're trying to get to you. And I think we've never really been those kind of guys that are like, hey, come over here, let me tell you something, or, like that's just not who we are. And we were really trying to like figure out the kind of band that we were for many, many years. And we couldn't quite figure it out. We were like this Broadway kind of influence group. And we tried hip hop and this. And then I think none of that really felt right. And then when we started wearing our emotions on our sleeve, I think something kind of clicked into place. And we started making the best music we had ever made. And I think the people that would have made changes were like, wait a sec, the music's finally good now. I don't want to change anything.
So as three brothers, how have you guys had to navigate the different personalities through that? And has it been really cohesive of just kind of being on the same page and obviously being brought up by your parents? I'm trying to pace myself. This is exciting for me of the type of conversation we're already jumping into. And I'm like, how did your parents raise you?
Too deep, too fast. I think by nature, being brothers, it again kind of echoes what we do for the band. You figure out, oh, this person's best at this, and I'm going to respect this person when it comes to this. With the songwriting, me and Jack do the songwriting. I think it's very much, when it comes to melody, that's where I'm fully going to be beholden to Jack. If we're fighting over, like, I think this melody's catchy over this melody, I'm just going to trust Jack. I just have enough data now to prove, wow, he's been right about that. And then when it comes to, I would say emotion, he's probably going to trust me. If I'm going, this choice of words is going to make somebody cry versus not cry, it's just the kind of thing he just trusts me at this point. I feel like that's probably any good company. You kind of delegate and figure out who's good at what, as opposed to egos start getting in the way. When we've done other writing sessions, because we've written for other artists, and I would probably say it's not really for us. We liked it for a little while, and now I think we're at a point where like it's probably not our favorite thing in the world. Maybe we'll get back to it at some point, but I think egos come into play a lot in those sessions, and I think that's what we're not so excited about. But don't forget my idea. Hey, I had pitched that line a little while ago. No, why is nobody listening to my idea? I think when it comes to me and Jack writing, we're just like totally honest with each other. We just immediately go, I'm feeling nothing from what you just said. Let's fail quickly and move on. And I think that's like the most efficient way probably to write, at least for us.
I love that idea of like failing quickly. Like so many people are afraid of failure, but like, at least for me, I learn more by failing than I do by like only getting green lights. You know what I mean? It's like, cool, that doesn't work. Great. That gives me a lot more info of like, find where the walls are. And there's this whole well of things right here that do work. Let's play there for a little bit.
A lot of the songs on the EP took years and years to write. The reason is we got into the headspace of like perfection. We need to send all of our friends and our manager and our inner circle a perfect song. And then we're like working for this song on like for 3 years. And at a certain point with a lot of these songs on the EP, we were just like, let's just write something bad. Like, let's just write something that we're half excited about and send it to our manager, send it to our friends, and remove ego. Because it can feel kind of embarrassing when you're like, hey, Martin, what do you think of this song? And Martin's like, hey, it's not one of your best. And that like literally happened, but he doesn't know anything about music, but he just has these opinions. He said something, he was like, I feel like your songs normally have like a line that I remember, and this one doesn't have that. That's like a very layman way to speak, right? But it's not like he pitched a line, but it told us, okay, so the melody's good, but the actual lyric is what's not good. Then we're able to write the next draft of the song in, 5 days, whereas the first draft took a year. So a lot of times it's failing quickly. Send it to people you trust. Open yourself up to criticism and listening to absolutely anybody.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there can only be gold that comes from that. Something somebody said to me was, done is better than perfect. And I was like, oh, that was like a massive light bulb that went off in my head. Because like for me, like so often you can get caught behind perfection that like nothing actually gets made. And then before you know it, it's been years and you're like, I have nothing to show for this. Whereas if you're just like, cool, fine, like finish it, move on, get it out there, you have a draft. You have a ball of clay you can start carving away at.
Well, I also think what sounds really beautiful about your writing partnership is, not every family or friendship or creative partnership has this, but it sounds like you guys have the individual confidence and comfort and then the trust in each other that you're able to like sprinkle ideas. I'm like trying to think of a metaphor. As songwriters, when I think of like every single line I put out has an anchor to it, then I'm so much more upset if someone is like, that one wasn't that great. And I'm like, no, but I'm weighed down by this idea and you're telling me it's not good, versus if you're just peppering ideas. Yeah. It's like, okay, that didn't work. I don't have this like full emotional attachment that how someone receives it is going to inform me how I feel about myself because I got rejected or affirmed by this one line. And I feel like that is a very common problem for a lot of people. Maybe not great songwriters. Maybe that is what makes a great songwriter, of like being able to just be like, okay, that didn't work. Like you said, even the directness of I'm feeling nothing from the line you just said. Let's move on.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there are some moments where you have to like grieve things. Ryan, there's some moments where I'm like a day or two down the road on a song. And sometimes it happens where I'm just in my brain, I know something is wrong and my brain is going, this is not fixable. You have to say something like, this is over. Like we have to just scrap this. And then I'll say it and then Ryan will have a 20-minute grieving period of like, quiet, you are 100% right, but let me grieve this for a second, silence. So there's that also. But also, I think, like you said, it's been really like beautiful to have this dynamic. Also, we've really allowed ourselves to like laugh at ourselves too and be like 3 days later, how on earth did we ever suggest that? That's like the dumbest string of words we've ever put together in our life. And it kind of makes the process more fun when you're able to like not keep yourself up here, but I'm the best songwriter ever. How could I suggest that? And just realistically take a look at yourself.
Yeah. Michaela, how do you balance peppering in ideas and being unattached, got to throw out everything, with I want to throw out things that actually make me feel something, right? I'm still a songwriter that has some level of skill. I'm not just a regular person throwing stuff at the wall. How do you balance not getting offended, I guess, when you were like, but I just told my truth and Jack told me he didn't feel anything?
Honestly, just time and experience has helped that. At this point in my life, I've been writing songs for a long time, and I've been actively working on building my relationship to my why and trying to like detach from results or if people like it or not. So I feel like it's been an intentional process and also a completely unintentional process that I think has just happened over time. And writing with others, I did have a long period of time where I would be too nervous to even say ideas in a co-write, that I'd be like filtering. That's the other thing, observing other writers that I respect and getting to write with other people and seeing how they emotionally handled the write of they wouldn't get gummed up if I was like, I don't know, or I don't think so. And that they would just quickly move on, or not even quickly, but like really ruminate on something, but would be pretty detached. That helped inform me, as well as, so we have 2 kids. Our daughter is 4 and our youngest is 8 months old. And my time has just completely changed. And so therefore, my emotional connection to being able to create is not as heavy. There's like this beautiful, healthy detachment where at the same time, my meaning in my words feels that much deeper because of the experiences I've had of becoming a mother, if this makes any sense.
Yeah. You're almost realizing, oh, I'm doing this because I like to do it, not because I have to do it and I'll die if I don't write today.
And also knowing, okay, if this line that I feel very attached to doesn't work in this song, I can save it. It can live in another place, which I've experienced that over and over of, okay, why do I feel so stuck on this line? Why am I like, no, but what about this line? It's not working here. It's death.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It might be meant elsewhere.
That has happened to us constantly. We have a song called A Dog Song on our new EP. And the chorus of it is, can we pause right here, right now, while everyone I love is still in my house? And that's kind of the concept of like, can I just freeze the time right now? That concept came, I don't know, 6 months before for a totally different song. Basically, the point of that other song was going to be, can we freeze time like this? And me and Jack both felt, hey, there's something relatable about this, but it's not attached to anything tactile that I can picture. I'm not sure anybody in regular life just goes, can I stay like this? Can I pause like this? And so we ended up throwing away that other song. We knew there was something relatable. We kept it. And then 6 months later, we realized, oh, okay, we're writing this song called A Dog Song. It's from the perspective of our dog. It's from our dog's point of view, kind of watching our life. And we kind of remembered in that moment, oh, we have this leftover idea. That's exactly how a dog feels because they live moment to moment. Can we just pause this? You know, everything is great right now. Can we just pause? Here's our way to be able to sneak this relatable thing in, but now it's rooted in something real, which is how our dog is viewing us. Just totally relate to what you're saying.
I love that. You had mentioned earlier, like, you have trust in Jack, you know, and Jack has trust in you when you bring things to the table. What I hear you saying here is like, I think this kind of approach and viewpoint on everything, you need to have trust that you're going to write another song. All of us feel as writers, like, am I ever going to write a song again? Am I ever going to write a good song again? Like, I don't know, maybe not. You know, you kind of have to trust, like, I'm going to stash this idea away because this idea is good and it's worthy of, like you said, like the rest of the body to this moment. And I trust that that will come eventually.
Oh, yeah. I think that every single time we write an album, we go, how did we write our last album? Were we different people?
Totally.
I think Bob Dylan said
Totally.
that, like he listens to Rolling Stone or whatever. And it's like, who wrote that? I could never get back into that frame of mind. And I think what we found, the answer is don't try to get back into that frame of mind because repeating yourself is sort of the death of creativity anyway. Write exactly what you're feeling in the moment, even if it's totally different from anything you've made before. I feel like we've been learning that lesson, at least with our band more recently. Like, we're doing less and less sort of big party bops that AJR used to make. Don't feel guilt about that because I'm just in a different mindset than I was when I was 19 writing Weak and Burn the House Down, all these like party bops. And that's okay too. Like, it would be so disingenuous to just sort of keep going back to that same well. And it causes so much frustration and sort of self-doubt in the process.
For sure. I think it inevitably like gums up the piping of creativity because all of a sudden you're like stepping into this character that is not you, you know? And like the way I like to look at it is don't try to like rewrite what you've written, but try to go back to like the same space, you know, the same feeling, the same, like try to catch the same lightning of inspiration. You know, when you were younger and you're writing these party bops, like that was what you were living. That's what you felt. You were being genuine in that moment, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you get back to that same feeling of writing what you know and being genuine
totally.
in that
But
moment?
that same feeling for what's lighting you up now in life.
Right, the
Now.
same spark. The destination is going to be different. But
Yeah, I think it's very much finding your POV. And I think that
Yeah.
goes for musicians. I think that goes for comedians too. Like, what's your view into the world? And I think you're totally right. That's been the lesson. I think a lot of times, AJR, we write songs from an alien's perspective of like, hey, did you ever notice how weird the world is like this thing that we do every day? You ever notice how weird that is? And I think that's been sort of the consistent POV. And then plug in whatever is going on in our life right now. We're able to kind of write from that perspective.
I want to take a little turn on this idea of like writing from your perspective where you are now. Like you had mentioned when we were talking about playing on the street, playing the subway, needing to like show up and grab those businessmen that are like on the phone, get them to stop for a second and listen. Can you see a line from there to where you are now and in the decisions that you make creatively? Is there similarities? Is it different? Is there something that like, was there a kind of like growing pains into being like, we're doing this now that is not so much stop you in the train?
I think it was probably the best thing we could have done to start our career. I think it really taught us a healthy amount of confidence to have when it comes to performing, when it comes to songwriting. It taught us that no matter what, no matter how good at you are, you can't just assume people will show up. You actually have to try. And Even if you are great and you have a big hit song, that doesn't even necessarily mean you have everyone. You can be confident, but you just can't be too confident. It kind of taught us how to like straddle that line, because it's kind of going back to that perfection. You'll never be perfect. You'll never get every single person. So we had to start at the most bleak, like a little depressing like spot in order to learn that lesson very quick. But yeah, I think it just taught us how to have a very healthy mindset when it comes to performing and songwriting. Like when we're performing, I think it's very easy to get caught up in these people bought tickets, they're coming to see us, they love us, so we're set. And I think we've never had that mindset before. I think we've always had the mindset of we can do more, we can do better than last time. Not everyone's in yet. How can we get these people's attention? And I think that's really helped us when it comes to being creative.
Have you found as your audiences have grown and like grown to a pretty immense level? I know you have Hollywood Bowl coming up and did 2 nights at Madison Square Garden. Has there been any emotional creative work that's had to be done to kind of adjust to awareness of audience size and expectations, but also now of being a full-fledged business that employs people and there's so many other people dependent on you guys creating?
We got such a good feeling playing those smaller venues in the beginning because we felt like everyone in the room was tied together. We were all sort of like one organism. And I think a lot of the stuff we do on stage, we want to keep surprising people. We throw in like kind of magic illusions and weird shadows coming to life and like all these kind of like weird gags that are interwove throughout the show. One, because we love doing it and because it's the art that we love. But two, it feels really good to be connected to a crowd. It's like church. It's like we're all surprised at the same time. We're all crying at the same time. We're laughing at the same time. And so it's definitely been an interesting challenge because every tour we do, at least so far, has just been like bigger and bigger venues. It's like, how do we get everybody on the same page? And I think we've designed the show to do that. The way we lay out effects, or like we like to start the show with some kind of like comedy moment, like maybe something goes wrong and then there's kind of a joke involved, or maybe like Jack roasts me on stage as the first bit of banter so that we can establish maybe we're going to roast you guys at some point or make fun of something we saw, but it's all in good fun and it's all safe and we're all on the same page. So like little things like that.
Like an icebreaker.
An icebreaker and can take MSG, 20,000 people, and make it feel like 200 people again.
Yeah, that's something I love about live music as an artistic medium. It takes both the audience and the performer on the same level. You know, I've said it a bunch of times on the show, but like if you have a great band and a horrible audience, the show's not great. You know, and if you have a great audience and a horrible band, the show's not great. It really takes like both people and being there together. And like I always like to use the word like levitation when it comes to like a good show. Whether I'm in the audience and the show is incredible or being on stage and having an incredible show, it feels like this kind of weightlessness and it flows and it's like this whole energy that I don't really know that it exists in other art forms.
Totally agree with you. There is a moment, I think, and it's like unspoken, where Ryan and I are on the stage and we can look at each other and we just know, wait, this show is going really, really well. I can't even put it into words. You feel like it's just off by itself. I feel like we get that sometimes when we're writing as well. I feel like there's a moment when it's like we're struggling, and then we've hit a line and almost the song just takes off on itself and you feel like you're just kind of flying and you can step away and just let the song be good and happen by itself. I feel like those are connected a little bit. The show kind of just goes off and you know you're set. You have it.
I love that. We had a guest on here one time who said after a performance that someone came up to him and said, "You really held up your side of the ritual." And that was so poignant of like, oh yeah, this thing where we engage in as musicians, I always think about we have all these different layers of ways that we engage with our creativity, with the writing, with the recording, with the arranging a live show, with planning a live show, and then the actual live show. You know, it's all under one umbrella, but they're all kind of different aspects and require different emotional parts of ourselves. And thinking of live performance as a ritual that is engaged with two sides is, I think, a really beautiful thing. And also thinking about a venue the size of Madison Square Garden, that ritual can still be experienced when there's this really intentional way of connecting to however many thousands of people are in there.
Yeah, I think it very much is a ritual. I think we love encores. I know like a lot of artists have turned on encores a little bit because they feel like it's an exercise in narcissism and it's performative and everybody knows I'm coming back. And for us, it's like, yeah, that's fun. Like everybody know, okay, we're leaving. It's like being a kid again. And like,
Yeah.
the magic trick. And like, you know how he does it, but you're like pretending like there's like a connection there. And then you come back. That very much feels like a ritual that everybody's in on. There's an unspoken agreement there.
For sure. It's 20,000 person peekaboo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
We're clearly in baby world
Yeah.
over here.
But you know, you're going away and people are like, where'd they go? Like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm
Totally.
Yeah.
So I'm also curious because you both studied film. Is that correct?
For a short while, yes, until we left school.
Okay.
But yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And then your brother Adam also has higher levels of education. Is that correct? He has a PhD in international human rights law.
That is correct.
Okay.
Wow.
So, yeah. So my question is just how these other creative endeavors, other creative interests, other just like general interests, and I want to say other general interests to the point that you pursue education. It's not like a lighthearted, I'm interested in reading the newspaper, whatever, you know. So these deeper interests that you all have pursued at different periods in your life, if you're conscious of it at all, how they play out in this endeavor that you guys have together, how it maybe contributes or helps balance, if you've thought about that at all.
I'll speak for Ryan and I and our kind of love for film. I think there's two sides. I think there's the escape and the like application of it. I think we went to school for a little bit, we left to go tour, then we came back for another semester and took like a bunch more film courses. And that was for two reasons. It was one, because we just genuinely love watching movies and analyzing and hearing other perspectives. But then also two, because there was a real application in terms of our music. We would be stuck on a line or on a song and we would feel like we hit writer's block. We would go to class, we would watch a movie we've never seen before. We would go back and we would have it. We would go, wait, the director kind of approached it from this angle, or wait, do you hear this monologue? He's talking about this callback to this thing, and then we would have the song. And so that's really helped us. A big mantra for us is like, when you're uninspired, change your medium. If you're having trouble writing, go read a book, go watch a movie, get away from music. So that really helped us when it came to film. Also for the live show too, anything like with crazy effects or cool shots or climax to the low emotional moment, back to the climax, we've all put that into the show as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I definitely see the connection there between film and what Ryan was describing about the stage show and the productions there. I also view writing and especially like production and recording in a very cinematic kind of way, thinking about landscape, thinking about camera angle and perspective and feel. And there's a lot of overlap.
Even if a lot of it is subconscious, I think you can really transport the listener to a world if you use the right sounds. We like to sample a lot of weird stuff just in the music. Like we sampled a elephant, like a in one of our songs, not really for the gimmick of it, but just subconsciously I'm listening to it and I'm like, I'm suddenly in the jungle and things are unhinged. And that's the chaotic feeling I want out of this song. Like horses galloping kind of aligned with the drums, jump at the bump, at the bump, at the bump in our song DJ's Crying for Help. And it literally to me feels like now I'm picturing moving forward, which is very much what the song is about. I think if you treat it like a soundtrack, it can do a lot of subconscious work.
Yeah, the best songs are the ones that transport you, right? Or when you close your eyes, you feel like you're in a movie. Those are the songs that you keep coming back to, that you save. And a great movie obviously does that easily, but if we can do that in a song, it's such a win for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it makes it tangible. Like those little things, like I love, maybe it's from years in New York City, but you know, taking like a streetscape and putting it behind a section, you might not actually hear what's going on, but it gives this feel, this connectedness. Like you said, it's a very subliminal thing. And it's cool how you can kind of subliminally channel a listener to places. And
if nothing else, it like puts you into a room. Like when I hear the early Beach Boys stuff, like I'm in the room with them. I hear that they all did this at the same time and I'm transported there, right? I think some of that probably has been lost by everything's recorded all over the country, all over the world in very isolated, dead vocal booths, technically better and studio cleaner, but like I'm not transported anywhere. So I think that putting in street sounds or bird sounds over here, even if it's subtle, it like puts you into that location.
Again, subliminally, like it feels real. You know, it feels like, oh, I'm listening to this band. I'm hearing all of these people together. They are in a space. You know, of course you can use reverbs and all those other studio tricks, but like there's all these other things that aren't textbook like perfect or proper recording methods. Like Zeppelin would record acoustic guitars like outside, you know? And so if you could isolate those, there's birds in there and all of this stuff, but like it feels awesome. It feels great.
Yeah, totally right.
Yeah. Can you guys talk a little bit about your song Big Goodbye and the story behind it, if you feel comfortable?
Totally. The Big Goodbye took 5 years to make. We found this auctioneer sample first, and that was, at this point, over 5 years ago. And it's this barbershop quartet singing this auctioneer, like, how much, will you give me 5, give me 35? And we slowed it down and put this kind of like beat under it. And all we had was that loop. For so many years, we had no idea what song could come after this magical loop. We tried a bunch of different songs. We tried like a more chromatic, creepy kind of version of it. We tried a more badass kind of version of it, a really pop version of it. And everything felt like we were repeating old AJR. It felt like, here's something AJR would do. We were like doing a cover or an impression of our old music. It felt very uninspiring, but we knew those first 10 seconds, we just knew it was magical. And whatever the rest of the song was needed to either be surprising or sort of as magical in a different way. And so then we got the track going and we added the strings and these horns, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and it felt very wistful, nostalgic, like you're flying through the sky. We had all these like kind of images. We knew, okay, now we have a magical track. Then it was like 2 years of trying to find the right concept to go with that magical track.
Oh my God.
And,
I love that.
We wrote like 1 million versions, right, Jack?
I mean, that is such a tough thing to run into when you know something it's so much fun, honestly, when you know something doesn't work and you get to throw it away and start over. It's a great feeling. Like, it sucks that you've worked for a while on it, but when you have that thing that's like, but this is good and I know it's going to work, it's even more frustrating because you have to keep listening to it and then it just sounds like noise eventually to you. But we did, and we pushed through it, which has been the case for a lot of songs. And we know that if you put enough time in, it'll just arrive. And it did this song concept about having mixed feelings about your dreams coming true. Like, you finally are starting to make it in whatever job you have or medium or life goal you have, and you go off and start to do it. But then there's that feeling of, wait, hold on, I'm leaving my hometown that I loved. I'm leaving everyone behind. They're all going to go off and get married and have kids and be in this world, and I'm going to be separate from them. We thought that was a really relatable idea and something that we were really feeling. So we kind of took all that stuff and combined it.
Can you talk about how you relate to that story in your own life of being touring musicians and the commitment and the sacrifice that it takes to achieve on the level of success that you guys have?
Yeah, the song kind of takes place, I don't know, 7 years ago, like, because one of the lines is I wrote a song about being weak, and our song Weak came out probably more like 8 years ago. And that moment of leaving New York for the first time, like, that was the moment that we wrote about. But I think we couldn't possibly have written this song 8 years ago when we were going through it. I think we needed to write it from our hindsight at this point, because I think we've just learned a lot of lessons in the last few years. It's a very weird and amazing thing to accomplish your dream. To play MSG was like the goal. To do an arena tour was the goal of my life. And then we got back home and I was like, okay, I accomplished the goal of my life. What the hell? All my problems aren't solved in my head. Like, I still have I'm still fucked up in the same ways that I was before I played the arena tour. Wait a second. A lot of the friends that I felt like I was leaving behind and going to live my dreams are farther along, and they're like, whether it's they're married or they have kids now, or even just psychologically, they're happier than I am. What did I get wrong here? That's where it came from. There's a line, someone tell me why my town feels like home for the first time in years. Why'd I need to be known? They fucking know me here. And that's probably my favorite line in the song, because it's like, why was this need for, I don't even want to say fame, because that's like gross to say, but this need to be seen by a quantity of people in order to feel love and be known? Where'd that come from? Like, it was so obvious to me up until we played the arena tour, where suddenly I had this shift of mentality where I was like, my little group of friends already knew me. What was I doing? And so I kind of wanted to write from that perspective, but put that back in time 8 years as if I was feeling that as I was leaving.
I felt the exact same thing after playing MSG. It's a scary feeling. We often write about feelings that are so unresolved in our life too. And it's the kind of thing that feels like it'll never be resolved. And that's the kind of stuff that we're like really attracted to as songwriters. As sad as it is, I'll probably be feeling this forever because I want to be doing this forever. I want to try to strive for my dream and greatness forever. And I also want to be a part of the friend group that gets married and has kids and can kind of stay in this comfortable place. And I'll never be able to figure that out. There's like a fear there, but that's kind of what we're attracted to as songwriters.
I think I'm particularly drawn to this type of conversation and like the endless conversations around achievement. Maybe because of like growing up in American culture, I feel like there's so much emphasis on you can be whatever you want to be, like reach for the stars, like all of that stuff. And I feel like I've just continued to learn, especially in the music world and in the age of metrics and social media and streaming numbers. And like we think we can so easily quantify our own and other people's success, just how false that idea is, that that's the key to happiness, but then how hard it is for so many of us to truly live that, to know that. So I think that's why I'm always like leaning in. We had Mary Chapin Carpenter on here who, you know, had massive heights of success in the 90s. What is it? Quadruple platinum and like 18 Grammy nominations, you know. And we were talking about like all of that outside success, reaching all of your dreams doesn't solve your problems, doesn't make you happy. It's like, no. She's like, there's still things in life that I haven't received. But I think the key to me is what you said, Ryan, of like, I was thinking that that was going to make me feel loved.
Yeah.
And at the risk of sounding like super cheesy, I think my underlying purpose in life is wanting to understand, like, how do we feel loved? I feel like I'm going to quote an old country song of looking for love in all the wrong places. From my favorite movie, Urban Cowboy. But yeah, that kind of realization, like, it doesn't mean don't do that. It doesn't mean like don't seek out these experiences and try to achieve and build something, but how to build the internal, like, embodied knowledge that that isn't what is going to make us feel whole and love, to be seen by so many.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we talk about this sometimes, and you talked about streaming numbers. That's just a great example of it's very easy to get caught up in your head of this is how many people love me and this is how big I am and how successful I am. It's this many million people. And again, we talk about that and we're so excited that our songs have reached that many people. But again, we still have that feeling of it's a number on a page and why am I not feeling blah, blah, blah. And I think we realize our absolute happiest is when we kind of let go of how many people like a song and how many people don't. And do we love it, period. And I feel like we've gotten to that place at a certain age. Like we have one song, we've talked about this, called The Trick, which was on our album OK Orchestra. And it was far and away the worst received song on the album. The lowest amount of streams. You can just tell people kind of skipped it. But while Ryan and I were making it, we had such a blast. And then when we put it out, even though the streams weren't there and people never talked about it, we just don't regret a thing because we really love listening to it and we love remembering that. And I think it was a really important lesson for us just in this entire journey of, hold on one second, let's pause here and realize the happiness that we're feeling, even though this has nothing to do with performing in front of MSG or 700 million streams. Are we really happy right now? Is that it, like, let's capture that feeling. Okay, it must be do the work that you want to do the craft that you want to do, just sit in that. And I think that that's a really good moment for us, a great learning moment.
I totally agree that you yourself need to love it. I also think there's something to be said for, like, if you do have fans, appreciating them on a granular one-on-one level. I think sometimes when you're on stage for a huge crowd, it just looks like a big sea of people. And that's cool for like 10 seconds when you first come out and go, this many people came. And then something happens in your brain and you get desensitized to it and it looks like a sea of lights and you stop feeling anything. And I think something we've learned as the shows have gotten bigger is look at individual people. Look at this mom and this teenage daughter that are connecting and singing your lyric right now. And it snaps you right back into why you're doing this, which is to connect to individual people. And I think that probably there's an answer in terms of social media that's on that same level. It's not like social media is evil. I even find myself, we just put out the Big Goodbye music video. And I find myself looking at comments, and I look at one like amazing comment that's like, this song means so much to me because I just left my hometown for med school and I'm sobbing right now. And I just said goodbye to my mom and I'm really feeling something. And then something in all of our brains is like, next. And it becomes about quantity so fast. And I think there's a parable there of looking at one fan at a time, of just like really appreciating that one girl's comment, and then put your fucking phone away and go live life, and maybe come back and then just read like one or two more comments and really take them in, instead of just viewing it as quantity.
Yeah, you're turning those comments into the sea of people. It's like, I'm like watching like the rows of people go, you know?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I'm interested in to flip the camera around on that idea of turning the comments into a sea of people, in that it's no secret that like the internet is a barrier to like, I think, a lot of people's best intentions. And so especially dealing with like a band or an artist that has a following and a presence as large as yours, I'm sure there are a lot of people that toss out things that they wouldn't say to you guys in person on like a negative end, or like they don't realize, it's very easy for them to forget that there are human beings on the other side of that. How do you guys navigate that? Is that what you just skip past? Or, you know, since you said you do read comments, so it's like they're not seeing you as Jack and Ryan actually reading these comments. You know, they see it's like, oh, this is an internet page, I'm going to take my grievance out on my car on this comment section or whatever it is.
I think it depends on the comment. Like, what kind of comment is it? Is it like, these three clowns should quit music forever? Or is it like, if it's that, it's like, that's whatever, that's noise. I think we really pay attention to constructive criticism within comments. Like, I didn't like this album wasn't as good as the last one. I'm really interested in that. I don't really write that off and go, oh, that person doesn't know what he's talking about. I really want to know more. And I know everyone has their different opinion, but sometimes they'll go into detail and I'll actually be like, that's a really interesting take. I might not agree with it. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Ray?
I think stuff only hurts when there's some truth to it, like in real life and in comments. Something about us pisses people off. In real life, in the band, like in high school, everybody just loved to make fun of us. It's just the cards we were dealt with, and we're ourselves, and we're unabashedly ourselves. And maybe that's part of it. But it's so funny to just see it follow us around for life, that among a group, AJR is just like a really fun thing to make fun of. That doesn't hurt, because often the thing that they're making fun of is what I said in the beginning, like how we like to write from an alien's perspective about human nature. Like, I've seen that as a criticism a million times. They don't understand how us regular humans live. Yeah, that's like what I love about our music. Or the Broadway-ish stuff, or the theatrical stuff. So I mixed our album, The Click, which was our second album. I saw a review that said there's like no low end in the album, like no bass. And I listened to it, and that one really hurt, because you're right. Like, I listened back, I was like, shit, The Week has so much less low end than it could have if we got it mixed professionally. And since then, now we always get everything mixed professionally. But like, that's an example of a comment that actually hurt because there was some truth to it.
Yeah, that's so true. When that comment, whether it's, you know, in person or on the internet, like bounces off that same comment that you've maybe made to yourself or not acknowledged in yourself, you're like, yeah, that's there. Yeah, okay.
What is your guys' age difference between the three of you?
I'm 28, and then, Ray, you're 31?
Yeah, and then Adam's 3.5. We're each 3.5 years older than each other.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys weren't in school like all at the same time, or a couple times in high school? Or...
Yeah, overlapped for like a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you were saying about just for whatever reason, people like to take digs at you. I don't like that, but I love your response to it of just like, that's not our problem. That's their problem. And I was just curious, like, I think sometimes that's so much harder to deal with when you're on your own. Like, I definitely got shit. I think when you are yourself and put yourself out there and you perform, it invites people to attack you for different reasons. I definitely dealt with that in high school of, I was the star of musicals, and then that pissed people off. Someone would yell in the hallway that Michaela couldn't sing. I'm like, okay, that deeply hurt me though. And I wonder, just having the camaraderie of your brothers, of just being like, whatever, that built some fortitude that has then driven and helped all of this become possible for you to not reach heights of success in the music industry, but be able to create and make songs that feel so authentically you guys.
It's really interesting. I think we've developed a situation where we're confident at the right times to help the other person. We have a song called Betty on the new EP, and we wrote a version of it before the version that's out there now that's totally different. And we wrote it, and after we made it, I think we knew it wasn't that great. And then Martin, the guy who we talked about, kind of like reaffirmed my feelings about it. I sent it to him, and he's like a great test. He was like, yeah, it's not so good. And I was so angry at him, even though I knew he was right. It's kind of like we were just talking about. And I was in like such a bad place. And then Ryan came in, and he had this level of confidence that really kind of got me back. And then it's totally vice versa. I think sometimes when it comes to a bad comment or people making fun of us, whatever, I'm seeing it really clearly, and Ryan is letting it get to him, and I'm in a place where I can talk some confidence into him. I don't think we're ever upset together. Honestly, we're ever like,
that's amazing.
So mean of everyone. That's so mean of everyone. I think we've developed this perfect dynamic. I don't know how it got developed. I think naturally we see the other person there and we kind of like rise to the occasion. We're like, nope, I'm seeing it the right way. Let me help you out. So I think it would be a lot more difficult doing this by ourselves. It's worked out really well for us having someone there.
I love that.
Taking it from like, oh, this is a me thing to this is a we thing. I can imagine, disperse the pain and the work.
Yeah.
Also, just like by nature of our music, a lot of our songs, what we try to do could be done really badly. Even like a dog song, a song from the perspective of your dog, that could be written as like the worst, corniest song ever. That's just pointing out a lot of things about your dog. And what's the point of even writing that? And I think in retrospect, it's kind of easy to look back and listen to some of the criticism and be like, yeah, what were we thinking? What a corny idea. Or like we sampled SpongeBob on our first single. Like that is also so easy to look back and like shit on yourself in retrospect. But it takes the balance of the two of us going, no, we said our truth. That's actually the thing that we like about us. All right, let's get our confidence back and go on that path.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love that.
We want to be mindful of time when we wrap up, but we always say that our audience is other creatives or musicians out there who might feel more alone in this path in life. So I want to just touch on the fact that you guys are selling as much as you are and you are completely independent. Is that true?
Yeah, we did a one album thing with Republic last year, but now we're back to fully independent. Yeah.
And does that feel like an empowered place and just kind of the freedom that comes with being independent?
It's all we've known, honestly. We did do that one album, but we've been doing this, I guess, 20 years since we started the band. And I guess 19 of those years has been independent.
I hate giving advice, like never sign to a label. Like that's not our advice. For our specific case, we grew up not knowing anybody in the industry. We didn't have money to be able to like pay for music videos or whatever. So just out of necessity, we needed to learn all these skills ourselves. And I think that developed this cohesive style of when you see an AJR music video, it's AJR, or an album cover or music or whatever, or social media even. And I think we personally thrive best doing everything in-house, feeling like the auteurs of our art. We have a very direct connection to the fans. No one's getting in the way, whether creatively or marketing-wise. I think we probably could be a bigger band if we had taken the, traditional major label route at some point and plugged into more of a machine. But I don't think I would like our band as much. And I think that's probably the lesson. Like, we could be a bigger band, of course. Like, we could be Ed Sheeran size. We're not. I don't think we ever will be. I think our music sounds too much in a certain lane. And I think that that's okay to sort of recognize that about yourself. Try to be as big as you can be for your specific style.
I love that.
Michaela mentioned that we like to kind of ask one final question of every guest just to get people's takes. And we usually make it a choose your own adventure, but you kind of just touched on one of the questions that we ask. So I'm just going to give you guys one option. I'd love to hear from each of you. And it's something that somebody has said to you along the way that still resonates with you, that still like fills your tank, keeps you inspired.
Chris Martin told me that he listens to our music with his son.
Rad.
I don't know if that's what you're looking for. You're looking for advice, but that definitely sticks with me. That was the coolest moment of my
yeah, that would keep some gas in my tank.
Yeah.
They make fun of our music together.
They're the ones leaving the comments, I think.
I was going to say they have like some burner accounts. That
When we played our first show, basically ever, it was a room that could have fit 2,000 people, and we announced it in New Jersey. And we showed up and 6 people came in this cavernous room. And we felt like, do we really have to do this show? This is going to be a nightmare. And our manager said, before we went on, he was like, these 6 people are going to be the most important fans you'll ever have. Cater to them. serve them, give them everything that they came for. And we did, and we're now like 11 years later, those are still our 6 biggest fans. That's probably a microcosm of what we've been talking about, like treat people on a human granular level.
I'll echo that totally. I think that's something that we think about, and I think that changed the course of performing and writing for us for our entire lives. It kind of goes back to what I said about street performing. You can't reach that level of I'm too good for you now and everything I do is perfect. You still have to treat audiences like they're 6 people there and put on the greatest show. You can.
Man, I love that. Jack and Ryan, thank you guys for taking time this morning to sit and chat with us.
That was so fun.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tell Chris we said hello as well.
Yeah.
Will do. Yeah, I can text him now.
For sure.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you to all of you who've subscribed to our Patreon or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get our show. If you haven't subscribed yet, take a second to do that right now, and we'll see you back here next week.